Not all Yu-Gi-Oh cards are equal. Let's be honest here, there are over 10,000 Yu-Gi-Oh cards nowadays, and Law of Averages states that some of them are gonna be pretty trash. However, knowing this got me thinking that obviously there are gonna be some cards that just aren't very good, because there are cards that are better than them, that do a better job than them, so essentially they've been replaced. They're not really bad cards, they're just inferior cards. What I want to talk about today are the cards that are the lowest of the low, the absolute utter trash, the literal embodiment of, you know, you're cleaning your bin out and like you've tipped it upside down to get all the crap out of it, and like some slime comes out and it goes over your hand, you're like, oh, what the hell is that? That is what these Yu-Gi-Oh cards we're going to be talking about today are. They are bin slime. They're bin juice. These are the bin juice Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Yeah. So, I'd like to invite you all to my top 10 hot garbage, trash tier, awful Yu-Gi-Oh cards that have ever been made. Zone Eater and Swordsman from a Distant Land. Two cards together already. I know what you're all thinking. What's he playing at? Cheating already. Well, funny enough, despite these two monsters looking nothing alike, they might as well have actually been the same terrible monster. You see, both have the exact same attack points. Their defense is pretty close enough, and both are level 1 monsters, which, just based on those stats, is pretty trash. However, it is with their effects that we see both are equally awful. You see, Zone Eater's effect is a monster attacked by this card will be destroyed during the end phase of the 5th turn after the attack. While Swordsman's effect is if this card attacked an opponent's monster after damage calculation, destroy that monster during the 5th end phase after the attack. Wait a minute. They both just said the same thing but different.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture.
Now, I want you to imagine an effect that, to trigger, requires you to slam a 250 attack point monster into something that potentially, and most likely, is going to have 3,000 attack points. Already, you're going to take some hefty life point damage, and let's be real, your monster is probably going to be dead. The question is, what do I get out of this? Well, after 5 turns, after you've slammed your monster into your opponent's monster, and you've took damage, and hopefully you've defended yourself, and the fact that that monster hopefully doesn't go anywhere, you can destroy that monster. This is essentially a bad investment that is not going to bring you anything good. Logically, what's going to happen is that monster is going to be tributed, it's going to be fused, it's going to be synchroed, it's going to be exceased, it's going to be linked. Something's going to happen to it. And not only that, but on average, a Yu-Gi-Oh duel only lasts 15 turns max, maybe. This effect essentially requires a third of a duel to destroy 1 card. And that's me being generous. Sometimes duels don't even go 3 turns. So you could say you could squeeze 2 whole duels in the time it takes for this monster to destroy 1 card. Just play anything else, please. Snowman Eater. Just don't play these cards. They're awful. First, second, third Sarcophagus, and Spirit of the Pharaoh. This set of cards right here is what I believe is the embodiment of a big build-up for a very lackluster result. And if you don't want to take my word for it, these cards actually appeared in the anime, and let's take a look at what Jaden and the gang thought of them.
To tell you the truth, you haven't even been dueling that great. I was hoping for, I don't know, some super sweet monsters or wicked rare cards. But so far, I've been kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah, his cards are hardly better than a starter deck. For a legend, this guy is a bit of a letdown.
So the way these sarcophagi, whatever. So the way that these work is you have to draw the first sarcophagus first. Then, after it's been placed face down, you activate it. During each of your opponent's end phases, you can play the second Sarc and then the third Sarc. Then, when all 3 are on the field, you can summon the ultimate Egyptian monster, Spirit of the Pharaoh. My goodness, I hear you cry. After all that build-up, it must be a powerful monster. Well, let's take a look at it, shall we? It has 2,500 attack, which, while not bad, is honestly nothing special. But what about its effects? Well, when it is summoned, you see, you can special summon 4, very specifically, level 2 or lower zombie-type normal monsters from your graveyard to the field. And that's it. Oh, that's a bit trash, isn't it? Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, nowadays, that's not actually too bad of an effect. Special summoning 4 more monsters to the field, you have a whole field full of link materials. Pretty good. And what I'd say to that is, right, okay, let's just see the setup that you need to get all this out, okay? To achieve this, you will need to get the trap card in the hand first, and keep in mind that all the other cards are bricks because they can't be played. So playing one of each makes sense, but if any of them get banished or go to the grave, then you're screwed. Next step is to cross your fingers and hope nothing happens to your sarcophaguses during each of the turns you're forced to wait through. And remember to leave space in your spell and trap zones, so don't play too much back row to keep yourself alive during these turns. Oh, and also on top of all that, at some point, I hope you've also sent 4 level 2 or lower zombie type normal monsters into the grave. What? You haven't? Oh, well, what's the point of getting this monster out then? Oh, and you know what I've just realised while making this video? There's only 8 level 2 or lower normal zombie type monsters in the entire game. And they're all awful. The point I'm really trying to make is just play Scapegoat instead. That's it. Fusionist. Let's go nice and simple for this one. A fusion monster. A fusion monster is the result of 2 weak monsters getting smushed together with polymerization to create something superior and better. Something that is better than the sum of its 2 parts. This can be quite a process, as you need to get the specific monsters required for the fusion into your hand, and at the same time, get and use a polymerization card that allows you to merge them together. Taken to the extreme, you can get a monster like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. A combination of Red Eyes and Dark Magician that is a thing of nightmares with its crushing effects and decent stats. Now then, if that's like the top tier, if we go all the way down here, what can we find down here? Why, on the other end of the spectrum, you get a monster like Fusionist. A fusion monster that has a whopping 900 attack and 700 defense, and no effect. Why would you make this monster, you might be asking? You wouldn't. To top it off, the irony is its materials are almost as strong as its merged form, as Petite Angel only has 300 less attack, and in fact, it actually has more defense. The same for Mystical Sheep too. It has only 100 less attack, and has an even better defense value than it too. In fact, how does a sheep and an angel make a cat in the first place? Don't make no sense, Konami. Why have you done this? Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. Here we go. This is an iconic one, and for a good reason too. Weevil Underwood used a monster called Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. On paper, for early Yu-Gi-Oh, this thing was technically a beast. Blue Eyes White Dragon was considered one of the most powerful Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the game, with its 3000 attack. And then this thing waltzes up with 3500 attack? That's a bigger number. However, when you realise the hoops you have to jump through to get this thing out, let's see if those extra 500 attack points are really worth it. First up, its effect. Cannot be null summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing 1 Petite Moth on your 6th turn or later after it was equipped with Cocoon of Evolution. So you're telling me, first of all, I need to get out a Petite Moth, a normal monster with like 300 attack and 200 defense. I've got to have that on the field, and then I've got to hope to draw a Cocoon of Evolution to equip it to that monster, which will, fair enough, increase its defense to 2000, but the monster's not going to be in defense because it's going to have to be face-up attack to equip it on, unless I've kept it there from previous turns. But how has it survived previous turns with only 300 attack? So I'll put it in face-down defense. If it's attacked in face-down defense, it's not going to be able to tank an attack, so probably it's dead. And then after all that, you're telling me I have to keep this thing alive for 6 turns, which we've already established is like the equivalent of 3 whole duels in modern day. And then after all of that, you're telling me my Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth does nothing else. It's just a big monster. So if it's destroyed by any... Literally, if I summon that monster and I attack and I get Mirror Force, it's dead. Oh, and I forgot. It also has to be in the hand to be summoned. So it doesn't get summoned from the deck or anything like that. You have to summon it from the hand. Yeah, nah. I'm alright. An unfortunate report. Listen to this effect and tell me how In any way, it benefits me. Your opponent conducts their next battle phase twice. What? Why would I want my opponent to attack me twice? Where is the logic? What is the point? Alright, I'm being too critical on this card. Let's make an effort. Let's think of a way that this could be useful to us. Maybe I have a Reflect Bounder, or some monster on my side of the field that, if it's attacked, it does good things for me. However, no, wait, that won't work, since the card doesn't force my opponent to attack. So they could just say, you know, I enter my battle phase, I end my battle phase. I enter my battle phase number 2, I end my battle phase. This is a tough one to make good. But hang on a minute. What about if I have a card that when they enter the battle phase, something real nasty will happen? Oh no, wait, that won't work either. Since they don't have to enter their battle phase, they could just wait to deal with my card that's going to ruin their day, and then jump into the battle phase, and then have 2 battle phases to absolutely ruin me. I'm stumped on this one. I don't know the good angle. Do you? Let me know in the comments. Cold Feet. Once upon a time, there was a card called Cold Wave. It had the effect until your next turn, you and your opponent cannot play or set any spell or trap cards. Many people use this card as essentially if you had a winning play, if you activated this card, there was nothing your opponent could do about it, guaranteeing you the win. As a result, this card was banned and has been so ever since. Now fast forward in time many moons, and in its place we got a new card. A card called Cold Feet. Its effect is you cannot activate, set or use the effects of any spell or trap cards this turn. You didn't hear that wrong. You can't use any of those things. Me, the person that used it, I activate this card, I can't use anything. Why would I do that? Why? Bizarrely as well, this card is a quick play spell, so if you really want your opponent to think, you know, you have brain damage, you can activate it during their turn, so you can't even defend yourself? Nice. Card Shuffle. Pay 300 life points to use this card's effect. Shuffle either your or your opponent's deck. You can only use this effect during your own turn, once per turn. I mean, look, I'll level with you. If your opponent has a deck that's focused around like putting certain cards at the top or bottom of his deck and he relies on that, this card's going to counter that. You can shuffle it all up and he's not going to be able to do anything about it. But let's be serious, that's never going to happen. Cards nowadays, they just get added straight to the hand. Or they just come straight to the field. There's no middleman anymore. So, like, there's no point of shuffling your opponent's deck. And the fact that you have to shuffle it during your turn, like, how's that going to benefit you at all? However, saying all that, if you're at a tournament and you're playing against someone that you suspect is cheating, but you don't have enough evidence to prove that they're like stacking their deck as they duel, or they have like a special way of shuffling their cards that they got like their best cards on top, you don't have to call them out. You don't have to look silly in front of anyone. You could just put this card in your side deck, side it in the second game, and then just activate it willy-nilly and shuffle your opponent's deck, and he's going to be distraught. It's brilliant. It's actually a great card. That's like a top tier play right there. Except it's not, because this card costs you 300 life points. However, in the official Yu-Gi-Oh tournament rules, if your opponent ever shuffles their deck, you are allowed to cut their deck for free as a gameplay mechanic. So you're paying 300 life points to play a card for something that you can do for free as a gameplay mechanic. That's not stonks. That's silly. Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon. Let's be fair, Joey Wheeler summoning Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon is pretty cool. It's got a cool name. It's got a cool artwork. It was kind of cool. I'll give it that. But let's be real. Beyond the superfluous aesthetics of the card, why on earth would you summon this thing? This thing is it's awful. It's awful. The only way you can get this card out is by having a Red Eyes Black Dragon on the field, whom is equipped with Metal Morph. Fair play, this guy gets summoned from the deck, but to get it out, those 2 cards have to go to the grave first. And let's look at exactly what you're replacing. Red Eyes Black Dragon has a base attack of 2,400. When equipped with Metal Morph, it goes up by an extra 300. So now it has a base attack of 2,700. But that's not all. When Red Eyes attacks with Metal Morph, it gains attack equal to half the attack of the attack target during damage calculation. Black Metal Dragon does none of this. It gets none of these abilities. Like, why wouldn't they give it the Metal Morph ability so it's like built into it? They didn't give it that. When you summon Black Metal Dragon, all you're getting is 100 attack point more monster that does nothing else. And also, keep in mind that if you were to draw Black Metal Dragon before you summon it, if it's in your hand, it's useless. You can't summon it. You can't normal summon it, you can't tribute summon it, you can't special summon it. You have to get it back in the deck for it to even be able to be summoned. So, it really is trash. You would have to play a card, some sort of like terribly designed card that allowed you to put cards in your hand back into your deck. Oh wait, that's the next one. Pot of Generosity. Pot of Greed is the most powerful card in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! It is so powerful, in fact, that if it wasn't banned right now, every single deck ever would just put it in their deck. And that's why it's banned, because everyone would play it. If we held a magic mirror up that showed the absolute polar opposite to something, and you held it up to Pot of Greed, you would actually get Pot of Generosity. But what makes Pot of Generosity so bad? Well, you see, in its Japanese, it's called humility, which means someone who has a low view of their own importance. And I can safely say, Generosity, you really are not important at all. Its effect is you return 2 cards from your hand to your deck, then shuffle your deck. This is what we like to call, in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Business, as a negative 3, something you don't ever want to say in Yu-Gi-Oh! Since cards in hands wins duels, why would you want to put them back? Well, you wouldn't. The only time this card would ever come in slight handy is if you have a card that wants to be back in the deck. But is that really worth playing Pot of Generosity for? Maybe you just shouldn't be playing that card. So if I'm playing a Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon, maybe I just shouldn't. Dark Artist. And for the number 1 trash tier Yu-Gi-Oh card, which I'd just like to point out, if you actually go to the Yu-Gi-Oh Wikia page, this is what they writ about it. This is the first line. This card is one of the few, if not the only one in all of Yu-Gi-Oh whose effect provides no benefit to the user, neither intrinsically nor fruitful for the use of another card effect. Oh no, it's terrible. Well, how about we see what it does first? Its effect is, if this card is being attacked by a light monster, its defense is halved during damage calculation only. Now, bonus trash points for actually having confusing wording as well. Who's having their defense reduced? Is it my monster, or is it my opponent's monster that's being attacked? Unclear. But guess what? It doesn't really matter, because it will never matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because if a monster attacks with, very specifically keep in mind, a light monster, as it's plowing through the whopping 1,400 defense of Dark Artist, or God forbid if you've left this monster in attack with 600, the only thing that will happen is my monster's defense will half? Why? Do you see the stupidity yet? His monster's attacking me. Why do I care if my defense is getting halved? I mean, it's going to be destroyed either way. Like, he knows he's already going to beat it if he's attacking into it. So he just confirms that he's going to kill it. What is the point of this card? Why was it made? Why did they design it? Who thought this was a good idea to let through into the open world? It has no purpose. It serves no function. Why did they make this? I'm sorry, it's just embarrassing. You're embarrassing. Why do you exist? Get out of here. You've ruined this list. You're the very essence of bin juice, hot garbage. I'm done. That's, you know what? Forget it. That's it. That's the end. That's the end. Oh, but before we go, I want to give a huge shout out to the people that make these videos possible. First of all, my platinum backers that give that little bit extra, Nemochan77 and Daniel Toms, as well to my YouTube and gold backers, Michael Waklorski, Stefan Pole, Silver Defender, Danny Bound, Ignis Drasil, Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, Goosey Q, Yokaido Kenya, Queen Elizabeth Denise Leggin, You Do, Jeremy Pontier, Ian Smith, Kobe Selvanayangam, and Jeremy Benj. As well to everybody else, thank you very much for supporting this channel. See you all next time.